Good afternoon. Well, I had a successful stream yesterday, which unfortunately was unlisted because I've had too many failed ones. So trying again today in the hope that my tech survives. So yeah, the point of the stream is just to go over the H's on the alts watch list with just a very quick update on Bitcoin and Ether again at the beginning. What I've realised is sort of giving these more like aggressive or scalp entries on Bitcoin requires me to then update them a lot more frequently in case people are following them, which makes it slightly more challenging. So I'm going to have to think about how I do this because I don't want to get anybody into trouble. So yeah, just bear in mind anything I talk about on Bitcoin and Ether is scalps at the moment. Yeah, you need to do your own analysis and make sure you see what new zones have been made, etc., to know whether you should take entries or not. So I had a short entry yesterday on Bitcoin, taking out these local highs here, and I think the CME for filling CME gap, perhaps, or maybe that was earlier. Anyway, so since then and overnight, so we did get a small reaction off that level, but it just went down into hourly demand, and then subsequently we created a 3-day demand and on Korea, a 3-day and 2-day on the Korea pair, and a 2-day demand on the CME pair, which has obviously been picked up as support now. So obviously that makes this short then becomes significantly more risky. Unfortunately, it didn't come down either to test the long entry that I had on this sort of 8-12 hour demand in here from yesterday's stream. So yeah, so now looking possibility of taking out these highs, yeah, CME also has equal highs up there. Korea is obviously still very strong, so, and as I reiterate what I always say, that shorts are obviously lower probability, while Bitcoin is being very bullish. So yeah, first level of interest would be just taking out those highs, and the next one would be again back in this 113 to 127 box. If we're going to get a failed wave, but if it's bullish, it could just go straight through there. You're just looking for a reaction in that area. And to the downside, yeah, so I had the 12 hour, let me just increase the chart so you can see. Unfortunately, just like when we have these big moves, that then end up being lots and lots of zones to look out for. So the most recent being this 12-hour demand from yesterday, which I was hoping we'd get a test already, but hasn't. We'll see if it gets tested. Then I also left in this entry, so if you remember, the wick here didn't quite hit the 15-minute zone that I wanted. Yeah, I reset that alert in case it just comes and takes out that wick, but it's not necessarily a high probability now we've gone up so much higher. Then additionally, there's been quite a few alerts hitting now. We have this weekly demand that we already went into, and again just missed the alert that I had on this 12-hour, just taking out the lows here. So again, so now there's a few too many levels, so it just becomes hard. But if you're looking, if we do get a rejection, you're looking at the 61 to 78 area would be higher probability than taking these entries, and these are just for possible scalps. The other thing I was looking at yesterday was what US dollar dominance was doing. So obviously this has come up higher and we're still intra-range, but rejecting again the daily supply intra-range. And then, I was sort of saying that here was just indecision really. We're hitting a new daily demand, and if this is going to reverse, and if it has made a low, having taken out these lows. Sorry, the chart looks slightly weird because on the daily the wicks are different. So you can see on the daily that it's taken out those wicks, but on the 12-hour it looks like it hasn't hit. But anyway, yeah, so it was, are we going to hold this daily and potentially just do some sort of sideways movement? Are we going to hold this daily and just take off? And obviously that would mean that BTC was very bearish. Or are we going to fall through here and finally get to this zone that I want down there? So at the moment it's looking like we're falling. We made a new 12-hour supply locally on this, and there was a 12-hour above, which hasn't quite been tested. But yeah, anyway, we're still looking like it might just fall through here, but we need to see a little bit more. So yeah, that's that on Bitcoin, just still ticking along, still in a slow uptrend. I haven't looked at any of the data, so I don't know if anything's supported. So again, like I would normally go and look, I don't want to do it now because I don't want to mess up the stream, but yeah, I would go on to CoinGlass, I think it is, and then check, you know, whether there's supporting data, whether the ETFs are buying, etc. I also didn't look at if the ETFs are buying yesterday. I should probably look at that now. Hopefully this is not going to mess up the stream. Where are we? The relevant. Here we go. Okay, so 30th of January. So yeah, yesterday we had quite a lot of buying actually. The price didn't go up that much despite all that buying. So we did have a lot of buying yesterday. And so yeah, if you want to look at this, this is farside.co.uk data from Farside Investors. Then Ether has obviously now taken off. So hold on, let's get rid of that. One thing I did again, I noted yesterday and put in the groups, but I think I can't remember if I commented on it on the stream or not. I've got a feeling I just looked at the US dollar pair, but that this was the possibility this had made a double bottom, and I said, you know, I was again hoping for a retest here, but it hasn't. It's just gone straight through supply, or it's going straight through supply. Still got 3-day and 2-day supply there at the moment, and then obviously it's got a lot of other supply above, but this is obviously supporting now Ether's up move. So that's pretty good. I was looking for, so we're now just taking out daily supply entirely. I was initially looking for the first CME gap to close, and then we have another one higher. So the first one, I'll show you the low time frame, which I sort of messed up a bit, fumbled that a bit. I shouldn't take those out yet. So this hasn't quite taken out the daily high as yet. But it's looking like it probably will, as will the Korea pair. So I was initially looking, yeah, again, similar to Bitcoin, to have those highs taken out from Monday, which we've obviously taken them out, but we're now just keeping going. So yeah, so I had the original entry here, and then obviously last night we stopped, price stopped a bit lower. So we rejected here off the 3-week level, and I had been, like, my plan was to be more conservative, so the original arrow was there, for the, just looking at right at the top here where the CME gap closed, but then I realized there was a difference between the premium of CME and the normal US dollar price, so I moved it down a bit because I didn't want to get a front run, and I was hoping this would just wick up into there last night, but then it didn't look like it was going to, so I then put a possible short in the group on 30-minute supply here, which did reject, but it only came back down to hourly demand, and then obviously today I haven't been on top of it, but obviously just look at the zones as and when they hit. So this one obviously now is running through a few zones. This 2-hour here hasn't been tested and was another possibility for a short, but again, it becomes like similar to how I said on the longs for Bitcoin. There are so many levels now when things haven't been tested above that it can just run through everything. And if people are going to trade the break of the trend line here, so I do need to look at this a bit more closely. That would be the next level of interest, again taking out this high from Monday 20th of January. So I guess we'll see, but I wanted the confluence on these two for these entries. So I wanted this high to get taken out at the same time as BTC taking out last week's high and that double top that we had. So I hope you can see that more clearly. This is obviously the low time frame chart, so it's very busy. BTC is probably a bit further off that now, so I don't know if Ether might hit this first. But anyway, just assess the entries as and when they come. As I said, so I'm overall bearish on Ether because of the 3-week supply. However, it can still go up to 3,750 and respect the 3-week supply. And it's also a weak 3-week because it's made this higher low. So that's always been the challenge on this, why we always trade both directions. But anyway, yeah, so keep an eye on this when it comes into that zone. Ideally, if Bitcoin comes up here at the same time, but that probably isn't going to happen. Else, if Bitcoin is going to head up into the 107,600 area, then maybe Ether can make it all the way up to this daily at the top of the drop. But But anyway, like I say, I haven't looked at the higher time frame. I need to see how the weekly is going to close and the monthly particularly. So like all the monthlies are closing today. So yesterday I also gave an update on the majors because I put in some more aggressive entries for shorts. With hindsight, that might have been foolish because I do have concerns about being too aggressive on the structure, but I also want to have, not be waiting for weeks for prices to get back up to ridiculously high levels if they're never going to get back up there. So EOS has hit this daily supply inside the 3 week, so that's something to watch. It's got an untested 8 and 12 hour up the top, so it's possible it runs through this up to the top of the last down move. And also bear in mind, it has swing failed the lows, so it's very possible it goes to now take out some more of the highs. The only thing with EOS is I just didn't like where it had bounced. Like I would prefer this got the 61 fib in the 3-day demand down below, so I kind of would have preferred lower on that. Litecoin was another aggressive one, just off 8 hour supply. It did go last night and gave a small reaction, but actually has only hit the zone properly today, so you can keep an eye on that one now. BCH just came in at the bottom of the screen, you may have seen it. 3 week supply on this as well. And it's got a couple of equal highs above 455, so worth watching those in case it gets a swing fail there. And as I've said, just to reiterate, if anyone's new to this, that these 3 week supplies are weak. They haven't made new lows as yet, so we can still easily run through these up to higher supply. And various, and you can see that BCH here has an annual demand, so it is like just wicking into an annual demand. It was a very weak one because it closed very close to above this. Where are we? So the first of only closed here on the 1st of January, just above. But yeah, so it could pick up and be more bullish if it wants to. But I just thought it was worth having more of those aggressive entries in. I'm trying to think what else has hit. BNB I didn't have one because it had a 3 week demand. Link I didn't have. I've got the higher short which has been there for a while, but I didn't have an aggressive one because it's come off annual and weekly demand. Pole we had the long entry of 2 week demand here, so that's moving up, and again it's just got this chop in the middle, so I put the alert for 3 week supply just a bit higher. And ADA I didn't put anything because of the chop through these wicks and the fact it could run through, and ADA obviously being one of the stronger majors. Dot, Atom and Near all had 3 week supply, so I think I alerted all of those. Atom has just gone off, so there's a 3 week here, it's got a daily and a 5-day inside it, so that's something to keep an eye on for possible short. The only other thing with these is that I do tend to look for confluence. So the only thing with some of the ones that have hit earlier, is just be slightly wary because they could take their time. I mean, it's possible, it's hard to know with these because they're so choppy and may reject at any point. But given Dot hasn't got to the 3 week and Near has got some space to the 3 week, it's possible that Atom is then going to run deeper inside the 3 week. And it could run, in this case, it could run all the way up to 7.3 if it wants and take out this more recent high. Again, is coming off 5-day demand. So a lot of these are, so the point with these supplies as well is that if they break and on more than a wick, then I look for, the retest and long entries. But for now, we're still in this local downtrend, so I'm still looking at supply as possible shorts until supply is broken. And much the same as what I just said on Ether, we do have a 3 week supply. We've got an overall uptrend, but it's possible that it breaks the 3 week supply, but if it does, then it does. And then you look for, you can trade both directions in the meantime, but then you look for long entries as and when the major supply is broken. So yeah, that's those guys. And Sol, I had this alert on the 3-day, which has still got a bit of space to get up there, or that's stalling around the daily level. And it hasn't come back down to my weekly level where I would have preferred to long from. Yeah, so that's those guys. And then other alts. So yeah, again, the point of the stream was to go over the H's quickly. So I've had a lot of alts hit zones and new alerts coming in, and we're having alerts. Some more aggressive, like you can see here on Bio. We've got an aggressive short on 3-day supply there, which I think went yesterday, but it's just coming into the zone today. DEXE was one I talked about, which I had high hopes for, and it did, it came back down. It did come through. I had a 3-day/weekly zone. It did come all the way to the bottom of that on a nasty wick, but has retraced all of that pretty hard. So I put a more aggressive alert back on that on the 2-day demand. FARTCOIN, I did an update in the channel in text today, because again, so if you watch my previous analysis on this, I had the weekly demand, so I was initially looking for longs, and then I recognized a resemblance with PopCat, and then checked that chart and just how these structures can work. And this has a lot of chop coming through here, but I said it was worth watching this daily supply for a possible short. So I had an alert on the trend line for a possible long, and then an alert here for a possible short. So both of those have kind of played out quite well. And then today I just said, like, move your stop to break even if you did take this short, because it's come off 12-hour demand. So if this trend line is going to play out, this would be like a break retest of trend for a possible up move. And there's no reason it is going to pay out like PopCat. We're just looking at probability. So at the moment this is still in an uptrend. It's hit weekly demand, the lower weekly demand at the lows, and in fact into there's a 4-hour down here. And it's only because PopCat started to be a lot more bearish here. We've got 3 hits to the high, so it's just becoming more risky. You can see the momentum's kind of dying off. Anyway, so yeah, just play carefully on that one. Yeah, and now the H's. So let me go on the DEXE chart. So there's not many H's, so this should be pretty quick, and there were a couple that look good, so it's worth watching. So Harry, start to the higher time frame. So Harry's just hit monthly demand, 1 month and 2 month demand, so that was a decent long entry, but now we need to see some movement and breaking of supply if this is going to go anywhere. It's got a daily immediately there and in a 3-week. So I've gone slightly more conservative on the short alert because it hasn't quite tested this weekly and 5-day at the top, and the fact we're coming off a monthly 2-month demand. So with the fact we're coming off a monthly 2-month demand, we are in an uptrend here. So this is what we're looking for, but that doesn't mean that similar to this that it's not going to give something in between, for example, before it goes. And again, hence why we trade in both directions. So yeah, like I said, I've just been slightly less conservative on this because of the fact it's a monthly 2-monthly. So it's safer. A safer short would be at the start of the drop, particularly because it hasn't quite tested on these previous wicks, although it's a messy zone. But I guess we'll see what the reaction is on that. And then if this does fail, even if we reject this daily right here and it just can't get the strength, then we have a 3-day, a 3-month, and then a retest 3-day, 5-day there, or this 3-day at the base for 2 other possible long entries. HBAR I hadn't looked at for ages actually, and I was kind of shocked at how strong this was, and it's obviously messing with some of my my previous levels. Just update those quickly. So we actually had an annual at the base, and this is like why people joke that I go too low time frame, but if you don't know there's an annual zone, then you don't know why it's doing these sort of massive moves. So there was an annual zone at the base which it tapped into and took off, and that's why it's always worth watching where the annual zones are put in, why I'm doing this big. Then we had a 6-month demand put in, which it came back into, and again has taken off strongly from that. So we have a new 6-month demand put in halfway up here. It's not as nice as the one below. It's a bit of a big zone, but that if we come back there, so we've got a couple of options. We've got a 6-month here. We've got a 3-month just above. So it's just a little bit messy. And then if it did want to come all the way back down to the base of this move, then there's another monthly there. Yeah, I'm going slightly more aggressive. There's an untested 4-day demand here, and it's just above that 3-month level. So it's possible it does come into this zone a little bit, but that's just where I put the alert for now. And then I put an alert at all-time high in case we get a swing failure or a breakout retest trade from there. Other than that, it's locally it's make it's got a 2-week demand, you know, when which is coming off. And again, like, it's up to you if you want to start look for longs on this. Like, it's like I've had alerts go for the 3 month, because this one was a sort of the big zone, and then the 3 week inside it. So, you know, we are at a major resistance. And I don't trade long in major resistances, and it's up to you if you want to do that, because obviously they can break out. But for me, like, it's not high enough probability. I would much rather it pulls back at least some or a lot before trying to get the next move, rather than trying to long here. But yeah, anyway, having said that, you know, I'm not looking for a short re-entry on this at the moment, because it's still looking too strong and barely retraced at all off this. And I think this is on the list of the US cryptos, so yeah, it might be. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a moment. Yeah, it's on the list of US cryptos, so it might just keep going. HFT. So this is one of the weaker ones. So we came off a 2-month supply up there, and have dropped, and we're now down in monthly demand. So again, it's just simple, like a lot of the other charts and analysis that I've done. You know, are we gonna put a monthly level in there? That should be. Are we gonna you know, continue this downtrend? You know, because this is a downtrend of you know, here. You know, we've broken a support here from this, and we're retesting it. So, you know, really the trend is down. However, we do have a monthly demand, so that doesn't mean, you know, so obviously if I'd got to this in time, I would have had a long alert there. So, you know, it is possible we have an up move from here. It's possible an up move can take us higher into 3-month supply, you know, but still be in a downtrend. So this can still go all the way up here and still be in a downtrend. So this can still happen before that happens. And that's hence, again, trading both directions. So on this, there was a possible, yeah, so I think I tossed up, and the alert's up here on this, up at 5-day supply. So again, I was tossing up between, you know, there is a weekly supply here, there's a 3-week, there's a 2-week. There's 2 weeks already been tested, there's a new 3-week, and there's a new weekly there. So I was sort of tossing up whether I should put a short entry in, but given we have this 5-day up here that's untested, and this is a clean monthly demand, I think it's kind of worth, you know, and like I said, I like to have a mixture of more aggressive and less aggressive, and if the more aggressive fail, then at least we've got some less aggressive to give us trades later. So yeah, on this one, given we did have quite a strong move off here while it's come back, you know, and it hasn't really had a decent test of this 2-month supply, I think it was more wiser to be more conservative. HIFI, I think I didn't even put any alerts on this because I just have no clue. So it is on a 6-month demand, but I think it's a 6 month from when, yeah, it's a 6 month from, yeah, it's from Binance, but it's already been tested and it's already had the up move off it. So, come back in here, so we are in a monthly demand, but again the monthly demand's already been tested, so I had the alert there on the monthly demand from, when was that, December, and it hasn't gone very far. So now it's, I mean, it's really just looking corrective and looking like, you know, I'd be waiting for this to fall off the trend line for a short, to be frank. But having said that, there are no, so we've got I think a 3-weekly supply that was very close to price, that we went quite high up inside. And then there's a 5-day right at current price. So it's not something I want to long right now, but nor are there any real short entries. So here, there's a kind of a 3-day, but again, coming off 6 month and then 1 month demand, I'm just, yeah, not overly confident of that. So I would kind of wait till we're somewhere up here if we get there for looking for shorts. That doesn't mean I think we're going to go there, because this one is just, yeah, indecisive. You know, a lot of things have these triangles, so maybe we'll start breaking the triangles and get a decent move up, and all season will happen like everybody seems to want. Yeah, this isn't a high probability for me. Hi. Okay, so this is in yeah, monthly, or it's a 3 monthly demand, but obviously it's been tested many times. So my bias is just more for short on this, so I've gone more aggressive on the short entry here. You know, again, it is a support. It is possible that this just continues the range and, you know, goes back up again, but with 3-week supply above, and, you know, again, as I've said before, like, even if I'm wrong, You can see here, for example, there was a 3-week supply here, which I also had a short on, you know, and it still gives you the rejection, and it gives you the move, like, hopefully it's in the right order, but yeah, it gives you the move back down. Didn't make a new low, but yeah, there's no reason you shouldn't be looking for shorts in these areas, even if you think the bottom may be in, because you're still likely to get some consolidation. But there isn't a clean demand for me to look for longs, that's for sure. But again, we do have the chop, so that we've got we had a bigger 3-week supply, which just rejected inside and has made a new 3-week, probably going to make a monthly there as well. And then the monthly is possibly down here. Now this still is dubiously in monthly demand, so it's just, again, another indecisive one. These wicks up into the 3-week make me a bit more like reticent about the shorts, but I just want to see them as and when we get there. So in this case, it's also got a 5-day, so I've kind of alerted just below the 5-day. There's a 5-day and 3-week supply there. And failing that, then we're looking. So as far as these go, you know, this is much more high probability short than these ones, but I like to have the aggressive ones in. HIPPO. So it's another one. So this had a, you know, I had a last hurrah long entry on 12-hour demand here, but it's now got a couple of 3-week supplies above. So it's had a big 3-week and it went tapped up into it and then came down hard. So then we've got a 3-week and a 1-week there. So I've alerted just for a possible short here. And you know, and again, this is just very little history, so this could really go either way. And also I think it has it's got a 5-day even before that, so even this is being slightly conservative and it may just reject off the 5-day here. So what we're going to have to watch on all of these alts now, because obviously they're looking like there is the chance that they've all bottomed and that we're going to get an up move, but we're looking for the 4-day, 5-day, so we'll probably, what we're tending to find is that we're not getting weekly demands or weekly supplies put in, or not till after the moves happened. So in 4 days, and we've only just had a 5-day close, so that's not very helpful. But in 1 day, 9 hours, so what was that? Sunday, we will get the possibility of a 4-day demand. And once we start putting in, if we can put in 4-day and 3-day demands, then I'll start looking for longs. 3-day just closed yesterday as well, so this doesn't have one. 2-day as well. So yeah, in this case, we haven't got that yet. And in fact, it's just kind of up in, it's actually a 3-day supply there. So I haven't gone, most of these I haven't gone lower than a 4-day, 5-day on the charting. So in this case, you know, it's also got a 3-day supply there. So again, it's just, it needs to reject here, it needs to come down, we need to see if it's going to make a higher low, and etc., etc. And that's what we're looking for in the reversal, if that's the final low. But really what you want to see is supply tested, it come down, swing fail this low, and then go back up, and then supply's already been tested, so it should go through the first one, and then maybe you'll see the reaction on the next one. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's the more aggressive entry on that, and the less aggressive is obviously significantly higher. HIVE, this is one of the strong ones, and I said to the group to keep an eye on this. So this, certainly this falls on my list of definitely keep an eye on. It had an annual demand, it's obviously come very deep into that, but has now also made a 6-month demand. So as of the end of the year, it's made a 6-month, and it's just tapped into that. And you know, it's not the strongest, it's not a strong demand, but again, given the whole market's just such a mess, so we've got a long entry off the 2-week demand in that. And then I think it's made a weekly, so we had a big bounce there, obviously, and it's just made a weekly at current price. But so it's just tapped into that, so you know, this is a possible long entry even now, but I would say watch the lower time frames. It tapped into that, it went back up, hit 5-day supply. So now it just needs some more time to see if it's going to consolidate through here. And unfortunately there aren't any other, you know, it's just holding this 3-day and this weekly zone. There's no other untested level or zone that I would want to see tested. This 3-day just got tested there, this 3-day's been tested here, and given we're now coming off 5-day supply, it's, you know, again, is it going to do a deeper retracement? So I have put an alert for this as a 12-hour demand down there just to see if we get the higher low. And you know, based on this 6-month demand, but I would actually like to see, you know, it would be nice if this consolidated through here for a move, but it just needs more time. I don't necessarily think this is going to go anytime soon. So I don't know how you want to trade there, like something like this. You know, you can look at the daily. You know, if we get a decent daily close today, it'll leave a daily demand. That's a possibility. Or, you know, you wait for it to get through this 5-day supply and then look for a test. But obviously it's crypto, so it could just take off rather than give you a nice entry. So like similar to here, so a big takeoff there. But yeah, that's something that's certainly worth watching. Or or a trend line. You know, set your alert on your trend line. If it makes it through there, then you look for an entry. Just be careful of this 5-day supply because it could just hold price down a bit longer. And I think the short side, I don't think I put anything. Yeah, so there is a monthly level up there which got tapped on this wick, but that would probably be, you know, be around the dollar mark that I would then be looking for the possibility of more shorts. So yeah, this is looking like a pretty nice one if the market allows it to keep going. So hamster, yeah, so we've got some history on the gate chart with this big gap from when it opened on other exchanges. So, and I think these levels can get respected if it does go back there. So I keep that chart just in case, but the alert isn't set now because obviously we're miles off. This is kind of interesting. So yeah, it's got a 3-week supply. So again, I have set the short alert for the 3-week supply here. However, you know, it is again a higher low and a possible trend line break. And the difficulty is with the trend lines is a lot of these trend lines now are on log charts, and you can't set alerts for trend lines on log charts, or if you set them on the trend line, then it will be, so this is the trend line that I actually want to watch, but on the linear it's already crossed it, and the alert will apply to the linear chart, not to the log chart. So I then thought, okay, well, if we get a bullish C-fork, then there's another possible trend line. So I was considering alerting that trend line for a possible break, because that would then coincide closely with that. However, there's still just too much supply on this, so that's why I've decided against it. You know, there's a 2-week supply which it's just rejected off. Okay, my alert is on the 3 weeks, so more conservative. But you know, what I have found before is I'll set these alerts on trend lines, but then if it just goes straight into a supply after it comes through the trend line, so in this case, you know, it could just get into this daily after the trend line, it could just reject immediately. So I don't want to set a trend line alert on this, but again, if it's something you want to trade, you can watch this. You know, obviously it has made triple bottom here. It could just run. HNT. So that's been strong off this weekly demand. I think I didn't set an alert on this weekly demand because it had already been tested, but it's just taken out that low. This is like one of the stronger overall charts. So, you know, it's like it's at the bottom of the local range. If it holds here, great. If it doesn't, that's where I've alerted, so fairly significantly lower. But very possible this is the bottom and it just holds this range here. So what we're looking for is, again, as I said, from one of the earlier analyses, that we're looking for the rejection of immediate supply, and it's in fact coming through a daily here now anyway. I'm looking for the rejection off there, and then the higher low, and then potential longs. I think the one thing, one thing I really didn't like about this, okay, despite the fact it's in a range, is that it had a monthly supply here, and it's tapped up into it, and then it's fallen, so that's good. I mean, it's played out the monthly supply. But with a monthly supply like that, I don't know, I feel like, and a lower high, I feel like we should take out this low. So again, on that basis, I've gone slightly more aggressive on the short and just looking for the immediate supply, and if we're going to get a rejection on that immediate supply. And if that does work, and it doesn't run inside it, again, it's still pretty choppy. There's a 2-week in there that's untested, and 3 weeks tested. 2-week untested, so you know it's possible it runs up to here and back up to that monthly level again. That would be another area to look, but if we get that bigger play out of the monthly supply, then it could certainly take out that low. It's only being held up by a daily demand here anyway. Hook, another one that just looks ugly. So I've gone, so this is likely to create a monthly supply now unless it really pumps in the next, what was it, 8 hours. And it's choppy and messy like all the rest of them. You know, it already had, I think, a 3-week supply, so it's that structure where it's had the 3-week and it's come and just closed just below and then rejected straight off it for a bigger drop. It's got a new 3-week supply in there, and then it's also got a monthly or it will have a monthly by the end of the day, and there's a 5-day and a 4-day there, I think, as well. So again, it's hard to know exactly where it might reject here, but I'd be looking for rejection in this general area. You know, if it runs higher, then we've got a clean 5-day, 4-day up there. Hot. Okay, so this is a monthly demand, so I've just alerted the monthly demand on this. It's just a little bit below where prices hit so far, and again, same as everything else, coming back up into 3-week supply now, so I guess we'll see. This also does have an annual and a 3-month. So again, there's a possibility, so it's already had the 3-month and it's come deep inside it, but again, these are all just triangle structures, so triangle and or ranging. You know, I've shown many in the previous videos, you know, when we come down and we're just kind of going sideways like this. There's a lot more with more structure than hot has, you know, just going sideways in here. And so it's just still, we're in the middle of the range. In some cases we're at the bottom of the range, in some cases we're still higher in the range, they may still go up. Most cases are down here, and then some things like this where it's slap bang in the middle. But it hasn't tested this monthly demand as yet, and in the market, you know, it's been stronger because a lot of the other alts have come down into this zone, all gone lower. So if it does come here, that would probably be worth looking for a long. I think so. There's the 3-week supply a little bit above. It's tested as a 2-week, and it's hitting a weekly now. So it's not something I want to long now, but it's not something I want to short either, because it wasn't a clean drop. The 3-week may give a short entry, but I think I'm just sticking more conservative on that because, you know, it's so close to monthly demand. So yeah, look for the higher high if we get it on this for another possible short. HPOS, I don't know what this is, but it does appear to have Bybit and Blowfin perpetuals. Just hit a 3-month demand, so worth looking for longs on this. Something like this, you know, it could start taking out all this supply. So again, I've been more conservative on this, just alerting this weekly at the top rather than the more aggressive 3-week that's right here. But again, just need to see the reaction on that 3-week. So for the most part, like, unless you're a scalper, you can scalp any of these, but for the most part, I would say, you know, that any longs that are hitting like this, that have this 3-week supply immediately above, just don't bother. It's not worth it until you see the reaction. It's the low probability. There are some, you know, which have dropped. Let me just find the brush. You know, there are some that just look different, or there are some that have dropped a lot from there, you know, and then there's a big gap to the 3-week supply. So those are the ones, you know, that they at least have room to move. Whereas something like this, sure, yes, it might go through, it might go up here. This is where I'd want to short, but, you know, more likely, you know, it's just going to go a little bit, you know, and it might hang out in here for a while and then drop further. So, you know, it's not worth the risk to reward for a long on something like this, unless you manage to get it on the wicks, and or unless, you know, again, this also has a daily supply immediately here, so it's not necessarily ready yet at all. We still just need to see some supply break, some new demand form for the entry. Anyway, yeah, so the short up there, the long down there, just see what happens. You know, if this can break through something here, then we can reconsider. And finally, HYPE. This is one of the stronger ones again. So I actually wanted a long entry down here, and somebody did ask me to chart this a while ago, and I said this is where I'd look to long, but it's picked up, what's that, a 12-hour or 8-hour demand there, so it's just holding, and it's held that for multiple. It's got a bit of a trend line going on, which is always a little nerve-wracking in the crypto world, because of the low liquidity and taking a lot of wicks if we do get a drop through. However, we have made a 5-day and 4-day demand here. So there's a 5-day that would be more aggressive, and there's a 4-day and 3-day inside there, just a little bit lower, and a daily, I think, as well. So yeah, I've alerted the top of the 5-day and possible entry in here if we get a retest. This can still just be a bearish retest of here. So again, don't get too excited about this potentially going to the moon. On the plus side, it has tested this 5-day supply 2-3 times, and now this is coming up into it the sort of 3rd to 4th time, depending on how you count. So that's promising. You know, preferably it would get through this 4-day before coming back to test here. But yeah, we're just looking for that higher low and hope the trend line doesn't get taken out. And if it does, then you're looking back down here on the 3-day. Anyway, so that's it on the H's. I hope that is useful. Let me see what Bitcoin's done since I've been here. Not much. And has Ether finally rejected then? Ether's up. Ether's very close to now the next possible level of interest. Yeah, so I need to chart these a bit further. I'll try and do it by maybe a slightly more detailed version of these at the weekend. Now we're going to get the monthly close on CME and also see what the CME weekly close is. Yeah, and then hopefully try and give some more low time frame entries at some stage. But I'll set maybe to the higher time frames on Bitcoin and Ether, otherwise I just have to update them far too frequently. So I hope that's useful. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying it, and anyone welcome to join my Telegram if you want access to my alerts. So like all my alt alerts that I'm setting are coming through in my alt TA channel. And I do bits of analysis as well, like I put HYPE in there earlier, and HIVE, and also Jasmine if I want to see. Jasmine was a nice one to look at for what the market may do, because it's what might be ahead of things. But yeah, all the alerts come through in here, so if you want to join my channel, just hit me up. Yeah, I hope that's useful, and have a good weekend. I'll try and do another stream on the weekend, but if I don't, have a good weekend.